Hey, good afternoon. My name is Ray, short for Raymond, which is a French derivative of Ray du Monde, which is a light of the world. So that would be, some of you might know that from my fan page on Facebook, which is Ray du Monde Empowerment Solutions Unlimited. Start with your why. My why happens to be a number of things, but namely my kids, my family, and then it kind of grows from there. You know, my extended family, some of them call them outlaws, my community, nation, people, the world, you know, the planet, the universe of everything. Sounds very kind of eerie theory and tree huggy, but yes, I'd like to hug trees, and it's not a bad thing. We need to take care of our forests, our lungs on the planet, far more than we do. Actually, recently I was in a place here called Kew Gardens, which is kind of a royal arboretum here in London, where they have, you know, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of collection of plants and trees and so forth that they've had from seed to germination all the way through. And I came across a cluster of redwoods, and having lived, many years of my life in California and the northern coast, viva the redwoods, man, my God, the sequoias, I mean, wow. And they are what keep us alive. One of the many things. And speaking of keeping us alive, I am an online entrepreneur, so that's what I do for a living. I do odd jobs and all kinds of things because I also have a consultancy business that is kind of something that is a bit of a kind of a hangover, if you will, from my days as a social entrepreneur offline in the renewable energy space. I've been a teacher, I've been a trainer, I've helped develop businesses, I've helped develop training programs within companies. I've had to do that within the company that I set up. I've been a life coach. I've worked with disgruntled and disenfranchised youth, as well as I've worked with adults in need. I've lived and worked in development overseas, so a lot of the driving force around that was, for what I was doing was to help eradicate poverty and the knock-on effects thereof. Just basically trying to build up capacity, build up people, and opportunity and the wherewithal to make things happen, and to basically make the world a better place. I mean, we don't have very far to look. Some of you yourself, this sadly speaks to of people who have either lost jobs, lost families as a result of that, have lost opportunities, have lost businesses, have lost homes, have lost all kinds of things, but have not given up, have not, as close as it may have been, have lost hope. I mean, there have been times where I've lost a bit of hope, and I've had the disbelief of what was real and what was possible after having had opportunities fail and falter, have partnerships, effectively the treachery of being stabbed in the back and having things ripped off from you, and basically that kind of level of disloyalty really undermine individuals, namely myself. So I kind of been there. I know what it's about. But the idea is that you fall down 5, you get up 6. You get back in the saddle again. You don't give up. So for those of you that this speaks to, people who may have a hardship story, and those who hopefully don't have a hardship, who are just realizing that the landscape has changed and things have shifted, and there's just a new way of needing to look at things. Possibly that's generational, educational, situational, functional. Just because what is it and what does that mean? We are now in the information age. What does that mean? Well, we know we have an abundance of information, sometimes even too much, where there's a bit of overwhelm. How do we cut through all that stuff to kind of keep the course of what it is that would be in line with our purpose? What is actually something that we're meant to do and passionate about. Excuse me. Forgive me. I know we're just coming up to June, and it's quite chilly, and I turned off all the heat, thinking that we were going to have another sunny day, and that was 2 days ago, and now it's drizzly, grey, wet UK weather. But the trees are green, everything is vibrant, the birds are singing, life is good. So I get people asking me kind of all the time, what do you do? How do you do that? You go to a party, so what keeps you out of trouble, and what keeps you in trouble, depending on how you look at it. Go to a cafe, standing in line for a cup of whatever, and you strike up a conversation, about what people are doing, and I'm an online entrepreneur, and so people ask, well, what does that mean? Says, well, online being the internet, an entrepreneur is is basically somebody who is using, I guess, the commerciality or the market forces, or the business, or various kind of, I don't want to say financial reward, but financial exchange to kind of create and add value, which, depending on your values, adding value to the spectrum of not just lining one's own pockets, at least that's not how I look at it, but creating opportunity with which then adds value across the spectrum, be it for people, for opportunity, for the environment, and so forth and so on. I mean, everybody has their own definition, and I kind of leave that up to you, because tends to be personal. But I mean, the idea is that we live in a kind of a market-driven world that relies on money, regardless of whether or not you think that is the way it ought to be. It is the way it is, and these things are changing. I'm not particularly keen on completely all things that are kind of abstract, in the sense that I do like hard cash in my hand, though the internet world has facilitated where these exchanges can happen very rapidly, almost instantaneous, and they can even be live, such as anybody who's been on Skype, anybody who's been on webinars, anybody who's done a Google Hangout, anybody who's used the internet technology with which that one can connect with the rest of the world. But on the flip side of that, there can also be overwhelm, and it's a case of trying to manage that and get through all that. So how do you do that? So what do I do? Well, I'm not going to kind of grab this, camera and run around and say, this is what I do in the day in the life. I woke up, splashed my face, brushed my teeth. No, I mean, that's a bit ridiculous. But to give you kind of an outline or a rough sketch of what kind of my day would consist of, is that, I wake up, try to jump out of bed if, depending on how many hours I put in the night before, or what I've done, or maybe I've gone out and had a good time at a social gathering and feeling possibly a little bit groggy from fatigue. Not really into power drinking or anything like that, so it's not necessarily a hangover of that front, but it could be that, or feeling really good because I've gotten good sleep, or I've treated myself well, and so forth. And part of doing that is to wake up and immediately go from subconscious dream state to conscious awake state, to focus on not just my to-do list, but a kind of a state of mind of my emotional kind of state, which will then have a knock-on effect on my behavior and what I do and how I am and what I broadcast and how how I engage with the rest of the world in my life, is to feed positivity into that. And I'll start out with a bit of meditation. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to get more than others, depending on if the kids are up and at 'em. If I can't do that, I do a little bit of qigong, a bit of movement, a bit of yoga, a little bit less so since I kind of did my knee in, doing a little bit too kind of active an activity. But yeah, a little bit of that kind of feeding the spirit, the mind, the full body, and so on, and then hop down and have myself a really nutritious meal, fresh juice, live food, a healthy start to the day. And having listened to a lot of people who are very, very successful, those kind of key rituals or activities or those things are very, very key and fundamental to one's success and the kinds of life that one has, the quality of life, which are then, as you resonate or you vibrate at that particular high quality of living, good things come to you, you're attracting things, you magnify them, and they're drawn to you and you draw to them, and there's that kind of synergistic relationship where you have, like with like and good with good, but if you, tapping into the TV and the idiot box and reading crap and listening to rubbish news, crap in, crap out, and you just purging out. I mean, so that's not the point. And one of the key things is particularly in an online world, if you're working for yourself or a home-based business where you have to really get involved and promote yourself and promote your business and be active in that activity, market yourself, is there are people out there who say, well, by 10 o'clock they've already done those key things. They effective, anything after that is it is part of their to-do list, it is part of their operation, it is part of, and in some cases, being your own boss, there's a flexibility within that. It's like sometimes when I've had enough and I've been, just I feel pent up, and I go for a swim. I go down to the local, I go for a swim, I used to go more for a bike ride, but and recently not as much. get out of the house or get out of the hot desk or the office, depending on where I happen to be, or if I'm masterminding with a bunch of people. Just keep things moving. Don't just become stagnant. Clear things out. Whatever it is, feed positivity into my being. And one of the key things that I really do on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, is the daily mindset call. Paul Hutchings, and effectively that's built around the Think and Grow Rich. There's a community on Facebook called We Are Think and Grow Rich. It's several hundred strong of people around the world who call in on a daily basis and are reading the various text of books of things that have some kind of value that has been attributed to a lot of people's success. Of basically how to develop and feed and evolve one's mindset that is in fact attracting health, wealth, and abundance, prosperity, and one's richness, and then depending on that further on into a life of wealth. One can say wealth, some people have different values and definitions around that, but I mean wealth for me is like the wherewithal with which to one and become rich, and rich can be many things: experience, money, things, and so on, life. But I know that I've been able to do a lot more things when I had the means to do so, i.e. money or opportunity, than I did when I was poor, as like a poor student when I was doing it. I mean, I thought that was the way to do it. That certainly didn't serve my cause or my life in the way I'd hoped for it to do. So in this mindset call, we read and then we share and we mastermind together online on live, and it's recorded, so you can actually tap into this later on and listen to these things and tap in and get ideas of your own and challenge your thinking, which is actually what a lot of us, I know I had to do that, because my offline and my previous modeling of thinking didn't serve me in a manner that I thought that it should or ought to, because I kept running into these obstacles and I kept finding out those obstacles were my own. So part of trying to reframe and rejig and redo these things is how to think and how to grow and how to then be rich. Now, not to be like doing everything for money, but because I'm more interested in what the money is enabling me to do, in the sense I take that money, it allows me access to areas I wouldn't otherwise be able to do. I wouldn't be able to afford. It enables me to then, go out and do things for others and take care of my family and add value to them and hopefully and grow from there. But the one book that we did look at and discuss today, which was interesting, is The Science of Getting Rich. Now, it's extremely pragmatic. It's based on a particular philosophy that to be rich is our right, and it's a God-given right, and it has a very Western U.S. particular slant, which is obviously kind of Anglo Protestant perspective, though that is not the ethos of the call. There are people from all walks of life, all faiths, all backgrounds, all experiences, all ethnicity, all persuasions, all perspectives, coming together, sharing and learning and growing together with a common idea of that we live empowered and abundant and prosperous lives, therefore the world around us, be it our immediate circle, but also the vibration that then extends beyond, will help to empower and enable the world in a manner that will fulfill life as we know it, but also go on to help fulfill those of the oncoming generations, namely our kids and their kids. And that's possibly my spin on it, but it seems to be a common theme that I think many would agree on there. And it's the coming together, the masterminding of all these things that is absolutely, I find extremely valuable. So I really encourage you to connect with us, and if you can't connect with it live, connect with it on the replay. There's a number to ring. And then, find what it is, your footing, your attraction, that is something that feeds you, that is part of in line of your purpose as to why you get up and jump out of bed in the morning, and hopefully you do get up and jump out of bed in the morning excited to take on a brand new day and build and have and live the life that is fulfilled for you, as opposed to, getting over what is commonly referred to as hump day, sliding down into the weekend, hopefully, to get to the weekend, to run away from what we do for the majority of our life, Monday through Friday. I mean, what kind of existence is that? And so many of us, as we know it, we get caught up in that kind of crap. Whether there's the ball and chain, the cubicle land, the boss that's really heavy, the commute to get to work, the constant just, waste of time and life and energy and uniqueness and value and all the things that one can add on somebody else's dream as opposed to building your own. I know there are many people out there who have very, very well-paying jobs because they add some very good value, but there are some of them who, even despite that, there's a bit of an emptiness and a hollowness because possibly it's not in line with their purpose, but they happen to be, hey, they're getting food on the table, and that's very important as well. But I know people who seem to have more happiness and joy in their life when they're following in line with their purpose. So there's an excerpt of this on the bottom. I can only highly recommend to read it, and I'm even quite happy to get a copy to you if you're interested. Just message me. I can get you a copy if that's what you want, an e-copy that is, and but also included below is something that I think is also very key if you're particularly stepping into this space and stepping into this journey, is your major, definite purpose, your goal in life, your purpose in life, connecting with that and writing it down and going through. And there's a bit of kind of, there's a bit of a template that goes, that you can plug in and kind of, it gives you a bit of a guide. But I really encourage you to explore that. And that's part of where these whole mindset calls is part of that exploration, part of that discovery, and part of that actual engagement and activation of that realizing those dreams, making them real, making them active, and engaging with them. So on that note, go out there and make it a great day, engage with it, enjoy it, have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you on the next one. So on that note, peace, love, and we'll see you on the next. Cheers out. Bye.